Hi, Johan.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm very happy because this is our first stream on Sunday.
Ever?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Well, it's a good start, I guess. It's not a bad time to stream, I think. When the week is over and it's time to look forward. Um, so yeah, I let's see how people like it and how many turn up to see us today. So has your week been since we last met?
Has been very good. Not good in Hattrick
Mhm.
because I was playing the tournament of 2019
Yeah.
and I lost in the round of best 16 players, o sea, 16 teams.
Oh,
So
really? Okay.
yes, I was very sad
Uh-huh.
for losing, but very happy to reach the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first time in all my life I can do it with one of my teams. So my hat trick week has been good, but I Chile lost uh, on Friday, so that's not good. But we can
Mm-hmm.
talk about that in a few minutes.
Okay.
And what about you?
Well, in real football, I ever since I moved to Portugal, my dream was that my team Malmö would come to play in Portugal, and this week they did, and unfortunately it was quite humiliating, because they were in the Europa League and they lost every single match, six
Oh,
matches. But I went there. I saw the match in the stadium. It's a very a cool stadium. It's very special because it's built inside a mountain, like on a mountain cliff. But well, that was the best part of the night, and that I got to meet some football friends. So, but it was nice, a nice little adventure. So yeah, and yeah, we had quite a busy week in Hattrick as well. So I have a few comments about things that happened in Hattrick. I don't know if you want to show the program
yes.
for the night, and we can get into that. Yeah. Okay. So weekly recap. That's just a few small things that's like I want to comment on from the week. Maybe that's something that I have been doing in the other streams. It just didn't make it a point. But we start with that, and then we're gonna talk about the release that we had on Friday about the new interface for the penalty shootout. So one of the ideas for doing this at this time was that we would be able to check some penalty shootouts live because there's a lot of qualification matches going on. So we'll get back to that point later. And then you have um, a section where well, we have together, maybe we talk a little bit about the World Cup of the national teams, where how the things are standing right now, and maybe you can also talk a little bit about Chile because it's we have some special insights there. um, and then you have another lesson scheduled, right? What are you going to talk about tonight?
Match planning.
Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory, I guess. But we come back to that point, and then we have a quiz on the theme of the night, one can say. So, how are we doing? Do we have any viewers yet? 61.
Wow.
Welcome, everyone. Let's see if this is the Sunday effect that we have a little less viewers, or maybe it will pick up later. We'll see. Um, Johan looking sharp, Papa Mish. Actually went to the barber. The thing is, I have this trick that I let the beard grow, And then maybe I made this joke already on a previous stream, but then once a month I go to the barber and I look 10 years younger. So it's always nice when I do that. It's the best day of the month. Also, since I promised that I would have a new background for this stream, but then I started checking out how to do that 10 minutes before we started broadcasting. So instead of putting in a new background, I put in a background here. So I wanted to keep my promise, but that's all you get for today. So next time you're gonna get something nicer, I promise. Cool. Okay, yeah, just about the week. So one thing that I wanted to just mention is that we had our guest quite a few streams ago, Oppa Yomar, the creator, one of the two creators of the Homegrown competition in Hattrick Anniversary League. And one of the things that we talked about during that stream was that I think we talked about it at least, that they wanted like a private tournament so that all the teams that play with the homegrown rules in Anniversary League get a chance to compete with just with themselves, because they can't really compete on equal terms with the other teams there. And that tournament is starting on Monday. So out of the 1,500 teams there in the federation, I think absolutely the majority will be in that tournament, which kicks off tomorrow. So I'm happy that we were able to fix that. It will be fun to see what happens. It will be it's like a tournament very structurally similar to the Generation Trophy. So it's like a Swiss tournament where they play 2 matches a day. So I'm just mentioning it here because some of you maybe will be in there, maybe you haven't accepted the invitation yet, so you should do that. I think you really have to do it now. Maybe it's already too late. It could be nice for everyone else to know. The other thing, yeah, there's been a lot of talk also about, and I'm quite surprised the amount of discussion the increase of the salaries for for specialty users players have created. I mean, of course, I'm not surprised that something that is negative for a user creates controversy and that people are unhappy with it. But I mean, this specific thing, it's really something that affects pretty much every team in Hattrick, and especially like if you're a very competitive team, it's very likely that the other teams that you are competing with will have exactly the same problem as you do. So I mean, if you see it as the relative change is not that big for the teams, but the feeling of getting a higher salary bill is of course not so nice. But even so, I was a little bit surprised with the amount of feedback, negative feedback on that front. So I guess I just wanted to say that in general, I think like one takeaway is that I mean, like something like this we could have done a little bit differently. Like we could have if we wanted to do an economic change, we could have lowered the salary for the non-specialty users a little bit, and maybe increase the salary a little bit for the specialty users. But I mean, this is like kind of cosmetic changes. I think in reality, what we ended up doing was increasing salaries because we felt that if we were gonna go one way or the other, it's better to take money out of the system and then, like, you know, adding money to the system. But I just wanted to say that I think we could have packaged it a little bit differently just to make it, you know, feel nicer. We will also think about if maybe we could spread that change out a little bit longer. I don't know if it's going to make a big difference, but we're gonna discuss that in the coming week if there's like some small tweak we can do to it to make it feel less aggressive. But I do think it's not that aggressive, but maybe we made a misjudgment on that. So that's just a comment on that. Of course, I will also write about that in the forum if that happens. And then finally, just a comment on, we did change the match day of Hattrick International, which is something that we have been thinking about for a long time, and that's a kind of a step in normalizing Hattrick International into a regular league. Also, like we have also talked about, if international should be part of Masters, which would be another thing to normalize it. One of the reasons that we wanted to move it is that everything in Hattrick that is, Hattrick International was like a unique case, so it has different mechanics than all other leagues, and that's fine. It's something that is totally fine to program, but it creates like bigger risks when you go forward, when maintaining code, because there's a very much higher risk of something bugging out on a league that has special rules, and we have seen that a lot of times, especially with Hattrick International. So, for example, now when we missed the transfer limits in Anniversary League, which caused a lot of upset users, that was because of how we implemented transfer limitations in Hattrick International a long time ago, because that code was then reused for Anniversary League. So I'm just mentioning this as an example of why, like when we find out that something that was an anomaly, it was created to be special and as a campaign, basically to be fun, to be something unique. Maybe when that over time we feel the need to normalize it and move it back into the core, so that we have less of these edge cases that cause problems and just sap developer time. So when you think that we are doing things just to annoy you, or because we're evil, or because we don't have anything else to do, it's usually because there's actually like a sound technical reason to do it, to make the whole system easier to maintain. And I just thought it was a good example to mention now, because like we had the Hattrick International moving of a match day at the same time as like another thing in international caused a problem somewhere else in the system, which should not have anything to do with Hattrick International. But this is very, very often when we have like bugs and issues, it comes from somewhere else in the system, and it's impossible to go through hundreds of thousands of lines of code for every little change you do. So these things will always happen. Of course it's sad when it happens, but we try to react quickly. So that was the weekly recap. Do you have any questions before we continue? new hairstyle. I don't remember how it looked, but it's chaotic again. Not too many questions, I guess. So should we move on to the next section? What do we have? We have the penalty shootouts.
Yes, that's the next.
All right. So did you look at the leagues that are in extra time right now?
Yes, I looked at, but I can't find it. Just the matches that are being played today for promotion, for example, are a little late.
Okay. All right. Well,
maybe in 2 hours.
Okay, so
I couldn't find one for this moment.
Okay, so it's a little strange, because usually on Sunday night we should have. let me just see where we are. We can look at that later, maybe. I have the whole list of the leagues here.
I didn't review everyone, but a big part of them.
Yeah. Okay. Where we are. So okay, so it's 8:15 Hattrick time. 8:15. So let's see. Matches that started around 6:30. What do we have there? I'll look at that later. Anyway, so yeah, so the change we have done then is mostly visual. We just, I mean, everyone has followed a penalty shootout, and it is quite strange because it happens and there's like very little commentary around it in the match report, and then you can't see very well what went on. So we decided to create this better visualization of it. And when we did that project, we also talked a lot about how penalties work in Hattrick in general. And as you may know, the actual calculation of penalties is totally different if the penalty happens during the match or during the shootout. We are not changing that in this release, but that is something that we will change later on. So that, you know, the same skills are used and so on. And we also, although that won't affect any matches now, but we also did the change to the goalkeeper specialty. So now there will be one type of goalkeeper, the quick, that has a bonus on penalties. So that's like a first step toward the managers having something that they can control that affects penalties. I think there is other interesting things that could be done, but it's a balancing act. I mean, you don't want to add too much stuff to manage a penalty shootout that happens very rarely, because that will be confusing to users also, I think. But like in some situations when you're like playing national teams or and in qualifications, and you know that the match is going to be really tight, I think it's interesting to think about, you know, is my team good on penalties or not? Like, is there something I could do differently to get an edge on this? So yeah, it's not a huge part of Hattrick, but I think like when it happens, it should be a little more interesting than it has been. And then, of course, we also added this momentum thing where a player that missed a penalty in regular time will have a small negative if he kicks a penalty in the shootout, and the goalkeeper can also get a bonus if he's on a streak of saving. The criticism there was that we increase random in shootouts. Of course, it's extremely random as it is. I mean, I think that is a fair point, but I think like over time and with the other changes we're doing, it's gonna be less random. And even if it is, I mean, it is a place where there is a lot of random anyway, so it's I don't think it's that damaging, you know, compared to if we increase random a lot in the regular match time. Yeah, so that's my little talk about that. Let's see if we have any questions now. Okay, so let's just I guess we never get around this problem, and that is that we always have questions from a lot of different topics, but this one is interesting. I guess we touched on it in the previous stream, but the first one there from Destrello about how long it takes to finish a project. Antonio, you have to help me highlighting these questions because I don't have the the skills to do it. Right, I don't have the right to do it. I think, at least I haven't figured out how to.
Which one?
Distrello from 703.
Distrello, perfect.
No, well, actually, it was the one before that, which is also from 703. But well, it doesn't matter. I answer this one, and then we can take the okay. That one.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so there is a problem that causes many managers to leave. And when you finish a product, the time to become competitive again is very long and boring, since you have to get money again and train your future starting players. That was something that was mentioned like on the side in our previous stream, and we actually started a discussion on it on the team, and that was about how long it takes for a new user to get his team competitive. Like it can take 8 to 10 seasons or 13 to 12 seasons to train a whole team, and that is kind of absurd. I mean, it's 3 years of real time. So I mean, how do we balance the long-term and patience aspect of Hattrick, which I think is valuable, to giving new users a chance to compete, and somehow we have to like shorten those cycles without just increasing the speed of everything in Hattrick. So I think that's really important. Then I mean, I'm not sure the assumption that you're doing, that this causes many managers to leave, but it's possible, of course, that's a reason. I don't know, but I don't have any evidence for that. Next question: have you ever considered letting teams have a U21 or U23 team similar to the youth academy to build a future starting team? No, I don't think that's. I think we have too much already to do. Too many matches, too many lineups per team. I don't think that would. I think we're like on the limit, like with a youth team and the senior team, the friendlies, the different trophy tournaments, all the other stuff that is going on, and then maybe you have a second team and so on. It's I don't think that would add so much, to be honest. Papa Mish, he already showed the new penalty interface on his stream. Obviously, the master streamer did it right. Good. If anyone on this stream happens to know if there's a penalty shoot going on, please let us know, because right now it's a little hard to do this on the fly because I am talking all the time. Okay, so question here about the homegrown tournament. Will it be better organized in the future? That's from 712. Can you take that one up, please? Yeah, so the question there is can we do this better? Not all the homegrown clubs were invited, and some that do not belong to homegrown have been added. What we did was we took all the teams in the homegrown federation and invited them. But then there is also a filter so that none of the teams that enter this tournament will be able to field players that are not homegrown. So even if one or two teams have slipped through there for some reason, that maybe they were in the federation but they didn't have the right to be, or they were in the federation and then they dropped out of being homegrown and bought a player or something like that, they should not be able to field those players in the tournament. So yeah, that's it. But yeah, we could of course try to send out the invitations earlier next season. But this is another example of things that are not standard. Like everything needs to be done manually for a tournament like this, and then it's very, very likely that something goes wrong. So that's why we should try to avoid having too much of these kind of hot fixes. But I think it's gonna go well. I mean, it's gonna be a nice tournament anyway, even though it's not perfect. So I hope you enjoy it. Great. Okay, so there's a penalty shootout here. I think maybe it's already finished. I got an advice. Let's see if we can find that. I go into Hattrick.
Are you looking for this match?
Yeah, I guess so. Do you find it? Qualifier. The penalty shootout is over, or it didn't go. Yeah, it is over already. Okay. Well, too bad. What else? Here's another one about newbies. So from 722, Capitolio. We were talking about how to improve the newbies experience in Hattrick with some old managers that have played for more than 10 years. The main problem is that Hattrick is in the start very slow. We imagine the option for new managers to play in a specific server with more speed 3 times, and after 1 year they could start in a normal server. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. It is an enormously big project to do, because you can't just like create a new instance of Hattrick and set the speed to 3 times. So like you really need to rebuild a lot of stuff. Even if we did that, I think there's a risk that those users that played Hattrick with a 3 times speed would want to continue playing it on 3 times speed, because I mean, why would you want to slow it down? They are then used to another game, which is 3 times faster. You also can't have the same economy because you have 3 times faster training and 3 times as much money. So it's not so easy. But I do recognize the problem. Maybe there is something. Maybe you can create like something in the. Maybe you can like make this like the cycles a little faster, like we talked about, like faster training but faster decay of players, so that it's the same for everyone. And maybe you can increase the speed for everyone a little bit. I don't know. Maybe that's what people would like. But maybe you could also like introduce like things that happen for new users that it doesn't have necessarily happen for like old users. So it's more like a natural higher pace, but not that everything is faster, because then it's no longer the same game. I don't know. I'm just thinking aloud here, but I do agree that it's a problem. It's also a problem that, I mean, I had this experience a lot of times. I meet people that like started playing Hattrick, but they didn't have friends that helped them, and they're just so lost. Like, I mean, like they don't know, like not knowing how to train, and then just playing the matches and thinking that that's enough to improve and so on. So that's also, I mean, there's a lot more to do maybe than you realize when you're a user, because you could like start planning your training and so on. Maybe we can do that a little more streamlined and fun, so that it feels like like more rewarding to set up a training plan. I don't know, but it's very good points. Yeah, and I think we mentioned that on the previous stream, but we will try to grab a few of these newly recruited users that come in, and to find one or two that wants to be on this stream, and then coach them live, and then also to see what how they experience it. I think that could be fun. Okay, so the next question there about this is like a technical question. Do you intend to ever resolve the WWXX Hattrick scheme? It's unreasonable, impractical, and makes CHP linking problematic. Would you consider increasing the session timeouts? It's very frustrating spending time to write a thoughtful forum post just for the session to time out and erase everything. Well, the session timeout, I don't have any problem at all. I guess it has like been a performance thing from the start that and we have increased the timeout several times, I think, in the past. But the performance issues is not very big or important these days. So maybe we could increase it. I don't know. With the web servers, I know that. I mean, we tried to do that some 10-15 years ago, and it was an absolute disaster. I mean, like we bought equipment from a very known company that promised lots of added security and performance for our users, and it absolutely could not handle Hattrick and the demands that we had. So it made the performance a lot worse, and we decided to throw it out. And that was like, even before we have a very let's say pragmatic view on things. So if something is working, we prefer not to change it. And then we decided to change it anyway because we had developers on the team that are purists and they want things to be done like according to the industry standard. So we invested a lot of time and effort and money on that, and it made everything worse for the users. So now it's, another decade has passed. It's still working fine, but and I know a lot of people will sit there and be angry now because they're experts on load balancing systems and thinks we are idiots because we don't use them. But I mean, we can only base our decisions on our own experience, and we have some really good technicians on the team, and we just haven't seen the need for it. I mean, personally, as a person that works more with marketing and the community than technology, I would also like it a lot better because it becomes easier to to share links and to to advertise Hattrick, and we have a lot of problems with links that we received on blog posts or whatever, and then they no longer work because it had a reference that is no longer in use, for example. But all these things can be overcome on our end. So yeah, but right now it's not something that we prioritize. I can just say that. But getting the question once in a while, you never know. Next time we talk, maybe something has changed and we decide to do it. So it's always helpful to remind us. Okay. So should we take a break from questions maybe and step to the next segment, the national teams, because I just thought it could be fun to, since we have Antonio here that is deep into it, to get like a snapshot of where the World Cup is right now, and to see what, what's going on with Chile and the other teams, if we have any big surprises or any favorites going forward.
Yes, we're gonna start with that. I'm going to share my screen to show you what I think, what I can comment, what happened with Chile and other nations. And it's okay. Can you watch my screen?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. Well, in this moment, we are playing the World Cup in Liechtenstein. We have played 4 matches. We are in the round number 1, as you know. The participants are 96 teams, 96 nations. Well, and like we can see here, the first 4 of each group will proceed to round 2, while the rest are eliminated. Okay. We can find some teams that have won every match, all matches that they have played. Like, for example, Belgium. That's a very powerful nation. For example, Hayastan. This is a very big surprise for me. I think.
Is that Armenia? Or
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. That looks like a big surprise. I mean, there can't be many users.
Yes, that's a very big surprise. And we have other with 12 points, like, for example, Italy, but that is normal because they have won the last World Cup and they are one of the most powerful countries in Hattrick. So it's not a big surprise, but we have another surprise, like, for example, in my group, Dive Raje. I know how to say it in Spanish. It is Maldivas, but it's very weird. So if I click here, that's the way to say it. Well, this is the most closer group.
And it's your group, yeah.
Yes, my group actually.
Doesn't look too good for you yet. Who did you play already?
We have played against Honduras, Moldova, Latvia, and Dive Raje.
Okay.
Next week we have to play against Surya. Yes, against Surya. And I don't know if it's convenient for me to talk too much about this, but it's okay. I want to do it. In national teams, we have different strategic and tactics to play it. For example, in regional cups, the most important is try to win all matches you play, because just 1 or maybe 2 teams go for playoff. So it's a it's a competition in which you don't have to try to save the players you call for your team. For example, if the first match you call 15 or maybe 20, it's okay. But in the World Cup, it's different, because it's a very long competition. So we are not very good in the table, but it's okay because we have team spirit level 10, and we just have called 16 players. And for example, other teams have 21 or 22, and if you take a player and you pick out of your team, you can lose some team spirit. So it's not a good idea to call match players, and that is what Chile is doing in this moment. We don't want to finish this group in first place. In first place, it's not important for us. We just want to go to play off with less player called to the team possible, and the most spirit we can reach.
And there's no risk that you're gonna miss, you think, or you feel confident that you will proceed?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what important for us in this moment, because maybe we can call 25 players, and maybe they can their form. They can lose form and could be bad for us. So we want to have the possibility to call the best players in the future if you need, and that can be very surprising for the opponents.
Yeah, of course. You have the element of surprise on your side.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So what's your next match?
My next match is against Surya.
Okay.
For example, yes. This is the match. And then everything is going to start again.
Okay.
The second round. It's very funny because here Chile wins 1-0, then Chile lose 0-1, so 1-0, then Chile wins 2-1, and then Chile lose 2-1. All the same scorers, but in different order.
Yeah.
That's very funny. The most powerful team here, I think, is David Rahe has a very good midfield. Moldova has a very powerful attack. Latvia is similar in all areas. Yes, and Surya, I think, is not very powerful. I think is not is one of the worst teams of this group, but everyone can win. So I prefer to not say that it's bad, because it's not.
You might be jinxing yourself if you say
Yeah.
too much. You're gonna have a lot of teams rooting for Surya in the next match if you're too confident.
Yes.
But going back to the full World Cup, who do you think is the biggest favorite? Is it Italy or someone else?
Well, always Italy could be the favorite team to win the World Cup, but after Italy, I think we can mention Argentina. That's a very big community on South America, and they are very motivated with the World Cup and Hattrick. In all around the world in this moment is República Dominicana. because they have a golden generation.
Mm-hmm.
Their players are very very good.
That's interesting. That must be also a very small community. Republica Dominicana. That's cool.
I'm so sorry I couldn't hear you.
What happened? Did we lose you, Antonio?
No,
You,
it's
fr-
not
you
my connection. I don't know if people can listen to me, can hear me.
no, no, I hear you well again. So I think we're cool.
Oops, maybe we lose Johan. Oops, Johan is out.
Really? Mm-hmm. Because I see what happens. I'm not sure if I'm off or if it's Antonio. I got the feeling that now Antonio disappeared from the stream altogether because he was saying that I was lagging. But can you see? Yeah, it's my time to shine. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, like he was saying that Johan is lagging, but I felt that I was fine. All right, so I think we're very quickly gonna leave the World Cup discussions because that's not really my strong suit. Let's take some questions instead. The funny thing is that well we both have access to the same account, but Antonio has some extra tools, and I can't highlight questions, so I can just read them out loud. And that's why I often ask him to. That's something that we need to fix. Let's see here. I'm gonna maybe I can just repost questions in the chat and then I read them out. So I'm gonna just to win some time. Now we have Antonio back. I'm just going to ask about this question here about 726. Have you ever thought about introducing generative models for the graphics, the faces of the players, or for the commentaries based on artificial intelligence? Is there a reference on the site for software development proposals or collaborations? That's a nice question, I think. Welcome back, Antonio. I think we have some problems with the line to South America.
Yes,
Maybe.
I'm back. I lost my connection, but I'm back. And I don't know what are you talking about in this moment, and I have lost all comments from the chat.
Okay, it's fine. No, we were just at first. I wasn't sure if I was offline or you were offline, but it turns out that I was fine. And then we decided to skip the World Cup for now. We talked about it a little bit already. So I went back to the questions. Now I wanted to answer this question here from 726. Maybe you can highlight it from Fiorenzo Parascandolo. But you don't see the questions anymore, do you? Never mind.
Yes.
This question was about do you want to introduce generative models for the graphics, the faces of the players and so on, and that is something that we have an ongoing project about the faces, and we really discussed and did tests to see if there was a way to like get some kind of beach style, like our beaches are illustrator, these faces that we have, even if it was exactly them or something similar or updated, but that if they could be like projected on a 3D model of some kind. And we now have a 3D programmer working with us, the one who works on the arenas. But we, in all the ways we tried that, it looked horrible. It didn't look good at all. So we have kind of stepped away from that. But what I do think we will want to do is to do, maybe we can call it generative models for the graphics, but in 2D. So that we can take these faces and we can make them more varied. We can make them more like dependent on I mean, aging. It could be that, you know, they could be happy or sad. We can project them on bodies. Now we lost Antonio again. That are not 3D but they are 2D, so that you can see their height, for example, and then you can use those mashups and put them in different situations, so that you can like generate 2D illustrations with your own players and with the right kits and inside the arena, or using the arena as your background. So that there's a lot of stuff that can be done without doing 3D, but I really think it's like, I really want to do these things, but I want it to fit together. I want, like, if we have sponsors in the arena, it should be the sponsor that you have on your team. If you have shirts on the players, it should be the shirt that you designed, not something else, so that it fits together. So yeah, maybe that answers your question. Am I online now, or yeah? Can someone just say if I'm online or not? Okay, great. This is kind of funny because Antonio is the host, so I don't think I can kick him out, even though maybe it looks a little scary to have him there. Okay. Have you ever considered, hey, Steve here, which is the winner from our quiz last week? He's asking, have you ever considered putting a hidden or shown skill max on players in the main game, similar to youth academies? In real life, not everyone can become Ronaldo. They just don't have the physical attributes to achieve that level. Well, I wouldn't say that we have not considered it, but I think it's such a strong part of the Hattrick experience, this thing of being able to train and create players the way you want them. So I think it has been like a little scary to consider. Also, I mean, like, let's say we introduce that for youth players, but we have to keep it for existing players because they have always been like that, and it wouldn't be fair to impose it on players that are like already bought for hundreds of millions of not hundreds of millions of euros, but of kroner, which is the in-game, the real base currency in Hattrick is Swedish kroner, if you didn't know. So that would have to be some kind of like very, very long-term project to phase it in. But it does make sense, to be honest. All right, Antonio, I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to keep you this time.
Yes, I was very scared because my cell phone doesn't work, and internet it wasn't working in all my home. So I don't know if the problem is mine or not, but I hope this time it be continue.
It does sound, if you lost internet in your home, it sounds like the problem was on your side. Yes, but now it's working again.
Yes, okay. That never happens to me, so I don't know why in this moment.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we're closing in on an hour here, and we have two things to do. We have your lesson, and we have the quiz. I'm not sure. Maybe we should start with a quiz, and then if your connection is stable, we can do the lesson at the end. Otherwise, it would be kind of sad to start it and then you disappear in the middle of it. So should we do the quiz maybe first?
Yes, I think we have to do the quiz first.
Okay, great.
And yes, so let's share my screen again.
I can just take a question here. In my experience, the mentoring program in Hattrick is an exceptional approach to teaching newcomers. Have you considered pushing it more, or even straight up enforcing it? I agree that it's great. The problem we have, or I don't want to say problem, but we have always had more users that are willing to mentor than users that want to be mentored. So I guess if we should enforce it, yeah, we have to enforce it on the new users. But I guess we could push it more. Absolutely. Absolutely, we should do that. Because, and I think also for the mentors, like to keep the new users engaged, it's not so easy. So they might take a mentor and then they never, the mentor never hears from the user again. So how do you solve that? I mean, it's not that easy to force someone to want to be taught. Okay, so now we have the link here to the quiz. This time I will not feel that I have to put in some fake incorrect answers. So I have no idea what is coming on the quiz. I can't click that. Okay, that's because I'm not in. Right. Never mind.
People is joining to the quiz in this moment.
Yeah, great. Let's see here.
We have 12 players. People, you just have to go to a slide and set the code. Yes, I can back to send the link.
That's an interesting question we got here from For Loop. What is the chance of adding API for the forum interaction, like viewing forums, starting threads, editing, and deleting your own posts? Sounds like low-hanging fruit. I think it's quite an interesting idea. I guess, I mean, like the only thing that we would want to be very careful about is spam protection and like, I mean, we still need to be able to moderate fully. But apart from that, I mean, like I see that there could be quite a lot of cool things that you could do. So worth thinking about. Is there any plans for making the difference in team strength bigger somehow? Now I'm at 756, Antonio, if you want to highlight. Is there any plans for making this difference in team strength bigger between high leagues? I think the match engine is perfect as it is. But teams, I'm going to quote you on that. It's nice to have these users expressing that. But teams are too close to one another. That's why many people complain about luck. I totally 100% agree with you. I mean, and it is very, very much the case that what people think. I mean, it's true that that luck becomes more important when the teams are almost the same, and that is what is happening in Hattrick, because like the average age of the teams is so high that everyone has had the time to optimize their team and build pretty much, like if you're in the top divisions, they are all maxed up. So that is the real problem in Hattrick, is the demography of the teams, and like what we would need to do is to increase, I think, like the decay of teams, that it takes much more effort to keep up, which would be super unpopular probably with a lot of users, because then they would see their teams becoming worse. So that would be really hard to do in a good way, I think. But I do think, I mean, like, to increase like the rotation of teams, so that's it's tougher to stay on the top, and then you would have maybe some bigger disparity between the top teams. But yeah, I think there's a lot of truth in that. So how many have we on the
22?
22. Okay.
Yes, and we have 71 viewers. So I think we are ready to start when you say.
Oh, okay. So we have one of my oldest friends in Hattrick here, Skåne Martin.
Wow.
That's really nice to see you. He used to be a game master back in the 90s and maybe early 20s. He started. So nice to see you, Martin. Hope everything is good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Cool. So we have another Capritolio here is on a roll with a lot of interesting questions and suggestions. Have you ever considered doing a boot camp in the 2 weeks between seasons? It could be a great idea to improve some skills to players or to do better projects without losing general training. It could work as bonus training, and we could select maybe to give one player speciality if they don't have it, or change if he has one to someone that better suits him. We have actually considered that. There is a project for training camps in Hattrick. So yeah, that will come. That will come in the future. And it's. I mean, the idea is not only to do. I think like the idea is that it's also an opportunity to maybe trade training speed for other things. So it could be maybe trade for team spirit, or trade for and now we haven't thought about doing specialty, but I mean, it could be that also, that you train skill training for specialty training, for example. And I'm not saying that will happen, but I mean, as an example, this could be a way to trade training for other things, and money, maybe, if you want. Are we ready for the quiz?
Yes, we're ready for the quiz. We're 20.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Do you want to start?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Let's start the quiz. Pay attention, people. Prepare your fingers, and remember, if you are very fast, you can get more points. Go. Question 1 of 4. Which of these Champions League finals was decided on penalties? Barcelona and Juventus, Real Madrid and Liverpool, Chelsea or Bayern Munich? Just 8 seconds. to answer. 3, 2, 1. Time's up. I can see the people have very good memory and are true fanatics of football. It was not an very easy question, but it is the first one. Okay. Let's continue. And the number one is Mr. Freezes. Wow.
All right. Cool.
Go for the next. Question 2 of 4. What has been the longest penalty shootout in this history? Kiki Palace against Civics, Milan against Juventus, or Real Madrid against Barcelona? Just 8 seconds to answer. 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Wow. People, I think you are very fast using Google.
Or just a deduction,
yes.
using our deductive powers here.
Yes. Okay.
But now you have to tell us, how long was that?
I can't answer that because the next question is about that.
Okay.
And Mr. Freeze is on the 4th place. Okay, go for the next one. Question 3 of 4. What is the number of penalties in the longest shootout in history? 10, 23, 35, 48, 5, or 65? This is not an easy question. Time's up. Wow. Had Johan is surprised. 84 is the answer. 84 penalties. What's that? I think the goalkeepers were very bad. Go for the next one. And the last question of this short quiz. Oh, Hat Johan is in the 2nd place.
Suspicious.
And Roger, maybe will be Roger Federer in the 1st place. Okay, go for the next one. And last question. Pay attention, people. This is not about real life. What happens in Hattrick when no one wins the penalty shootout? The oldest team wins. The team with most experience wins. A coin is flipped.
The Swedish team wins.
For sure. I can see our people know a lot of Hattrick. I just have seen this one time in a match of one friend, and he actually won a special and high achievement. Okay, who is the best one? Oh, Roger is the best one. AA Funk is the 2nd, and
Great.
Johan in the 3rd place. Wow,
it's good.
Great.
It's nice to be on the bronze medal.
Yes. It's a very good position for this quiz. And we have many reactions from the people. And we have in this moment 17 participants. So
yeah, as usual, I mean, if Roger can make himself known to me or to Antonio on the site, send a mail to HT Johan, for example, and then we'll make something fun happen.
yes, because I think that Roger is not his Hattrick name, because it's very short.
His what? Short. No, he's
Short.
not his real name, of course. He says here
Yes.
that his team is Roger de Fleer. So I guess Roger de Flor. Okay. But it's fine. I don't think anyone will try to scam us. So just send an HTML and I will trust you. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Congratulations, yeah. Roger.
Papa, I will take care of you. Okay. I will follow up on that also. I wrote it down for me to remember. Okay. Quiz done. And now we want to do one more thing before we go back to the Netflix and sofa or whatever we want to do. Your lesson, I think it's going to be very interesting to hear the newbie guide to match planning.
Yes, it is. I hope it will be interesting for the people. So let's start it. I'm going to share my screen one more time. And good. This time I did not prepare a presentation because I want to show it with my team. Okay, I have in this moment 4 teams. All of them are different projects. For example, this is my first experiment, Finlandia 25, in which I learned to play. This is a long shots team, my first experiment in that way. And this is a homegrown team in Spain. I have 5 players of my youth academy. And this is my anniversary and loser team. It is too much because I am the national coach of Chile, so it is like I have 5 teams. And the most important for me it is this, but that's usually, but in this moment is Chile, because this depending just of me. Okay, we have finished the season, so it doesn't care if I show my team spirit or my confidence. Well, this lesson of today is about match planning. It's not a very good day for that because I don't have a match to prepare in live, but we have the lineup simulator. And first of all, I want to say, when you prepare a match, you don't have to think just in that match. You have to think about what are your goals for the season, what you want to get. You have to watch your fixture. You have to think about many things that are very important and not just in the match. Okay. in this moment, my league have finished because we are in the last week of the season, because in Chile we play promotion matches today. I don't have to play anything because I finished it in the second place for second time. So, for example, when you are going to plan a match, first you have to look or review some statistics. For example, these statistics. Here, you can do a little review about how powerful a team is. For example, Cebollitas is 65. Okay, so if you do a comparison between Cebollitas and other teams, you can see that it's one of the most powerful teams in all around the world. Maybe less than 5 I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you fine.
Perfect. Less than 4,000.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very powerful team. So I decide, when I start the season, that Cebollitas will be my biggest opponent. So if I wanted win the league, I have I had to win to Cebollitas. Okay, so I decided to play match of the season against him twice, but in the first time I lose it, and the second I have a draw.
Mm-hmm. That's not
Okay,
good.
yes, that's not good, but it's funny. I like to lose. If you want to become in a good winner, you first have to learn to be a good loser. That's what I think. Um, and other teams I knew very good, so they were not a problem for me. But uh, I'm saying this because the most important thing in a competitive league is that you have to know how to manage the team spirit. Um, but for this, you need to have a coach with at least a leadership level 5. Okay, so go for match planning. The second most important thing in match planning is to know how to analyze your opponent. Okay, if your opponent plays in the same way every week, it could be very easy to know how to win. But if your opponent is changing his lineup every week, this will be very difficult and funny. Okay, if you are a newbie and you are start playing Hattrick, I think you may be in last division, and probably you are playing against bots, and bots uh, have always the same lineup. Okay, so my advice in this is just try to make many goals, because it will be easier for you to promote without playing a promote match. Okay, well, so first thing, we have to do is to analyze our opponent. Okay, I'm going to analyze. For analyze, I do this. I don't know if this is a supporter feature or not, but I do this. I'm going to team analysis like this way. And here you can choose what you want to see. For example, if I press here, I can review the league matches and go to see their players. For example, if this is very important for me to see if the player has improved or not the form.
Mm.
In second place, to see the specialist players. Here you can see how many times they play, and this is very useful to know how to make a man mark. For example, if this player plays always, could be a very good idea because I know they probably put him in his lineup. Okay. Team analyze is one of the most important things you have to do to planning matches. Okay, for example, if your opponent always plays by using the same tactic, for example, this opponent is always in the same way. It's always playing attack on wins. So I know that I have to attack by the middle, by the center. Okay. Other thing you have to do when you are setting your lineup, is to calculate which could be the midfield of your opponent. And this is the first decision I have to take because if I can reach him midfield, I probably will play counter attack. Okay, but everything is hardest because you have to train, and the most important thing you have to do in your first years is train your team as well you can. Okay, winning the first matches is not very important because the most important thing is in the future you reach a very competitive team. Okay, but for example, I'm going to talk about my experience when uh, when I I come to 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 second division, my team's players age were 24 years, 24, just 24 in a competitive country like Chile. It's a very good age, and that was because I'm good playing matches. Okay. And if you don't have the most powerful team in your league, it's okay. But if you know how to use it, maybe you can get a better place that your statistic shows. For example, some teams that are in the five place could be in the second. For example, this team, the Soul Forget, is not good, but won me 2 times this season. Okay, and he finished it in the third place. Maybe he was lucky, but the other way is he knows how to play, and that's because he was success in this season. Okay, so when you are going to set your lineup, you have to you have to be very curious and see many details. For example, the weather. If you have some players, you have to know that the 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 weather give a bonus to your players if, for example, you have a powerful player and it's raining, he will have a best performance. Okay, but when you are in the beginning, this is not very important. But if you do it, this is very useful for you. Okay, so you have to see all details you can. For example, the weather. For example, if you are playing at home or away. Okay, and you always have to consider your team spirit and your team confidence. Your team spirit influence in your midfield, and your team confidence influence in your attack. Okay, so it's very important to learn how to manage your spirit. For example, if you play match of the season, your team spirit will lob to the middle. Okay, so you don't have to do this all time, just 1 or 2 times every season. Okay, if you play cool, you will win 1.30 percent of your actual team spirit. Okay, and if you play normal, your team spirit will keep in the same way. Okay, but it continues lowing every day. So if you use normal, you can think that you are spending a little of spirit. Okay.
Just to clarify, you play it cool. You sacrifice a little bit in the next match, but you gain for the long term. So you save team spirit for the future matches. Match of the season, you get a big boost in the next match, but you lose after that. Right. So it's yeah, this is an important game, meta game.
Yes. Other important thing is the tactics. You have to know all tactics one by one. Okay, how it works, how to improve it, when use it. For example, if you use long shots and your team is not prepared that for, your performance will be horrible. Okay, all tactics have good things and bad things. For example, pressing is good, but it's good when you are trying to look for a when you don't want to lose by much goals. Okay, when you want to look for a draw. I'm looking for my charger. I'm so sorry. I'm walking because my computer is low in battery. Okay. For example, counter-attack, you need to have very good defense, and your players that are playing in your defense, they need to have some passing. Okay, first defend and second place passing, and you have to lose the midfield against your opponent, because if you don't do it, your tactic it doesn't work. And you need to have any interesting attack, at least 50% by any flanks or the middle. Attack in the middle is a tactic that I don't use because I don't have a good attack by there. But if you have an insane attack, maybe it will be a very good idea. The same of talking about attack on wins, but if you attack in the middle, for example, you will have worst defense by the flanks. And play creatively. Well, is one of my favorite tactics that I use in my team and in the national team, and it's very good when to use when you don't have how to score, or when your opponent have a very good defense. Okay, so I prefer to watch by here, for example, this want a match, and this one. I want a close match. Well, these are my players. For example, other important thing is that you need to have a trained formation. For example, this is my train, and this is my formation experience. If you have a formation in a level less than 8, your team will get confused. So always you have to see that this is working very good. You have the only way to train this, your formation, I mean, is to use it. For example, if I use it 3 times, I can start in poor and reach 8 or maybe 9 level. That's very important. And the other important thing is you know how to play with the arrows. That's very interesting. You need to know what your players needs. For example, for central defenders, you need defending in first place, and second, you need some passing or playmaking. Okay. For a wingback, you need defending, winger, and passing. This is not the best example because this is a special player, but the best position for him is this. Why? Because he has playmaking and winger. Other team, actually, this is a player of national team of Turkey in this moment, is this one. He was defense 18 in one moment, but now he's 17. He is playmaking 15, and this is very good level because he helps with his playmaking to the middle because he has 15, so it's very good central defender. Your forwards will need scoring, playmaking, and you can choose if you want more passing or more winger to use towards to the flanks, for example. This is very important to know. You need to know what is how to works every special event, because for example, if you have a forward here and he doesn't passing, it could be very bad because you can score a goal on your own to your team.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have to give an advice for people, for beginners, is try to learn how to use the band mark. Why? Because we are talking about low numbers of statistics. For example, if your opponent gives a midfield number 5, this is very low. So if you do a man mark, you, for example, are giving 3 of midfield, and you can turn to you can continue giving 3, but your percent could change between 20% to 45, for example. So the most important thing that newies usually don't do, but had to do, is to use the man mark. Okay, I did it a lot of in my Hattrick Anniversary team, and it was very useful. Um, in summary, you have to learn every variable that you can find in Hattrick. Okay, special events. You need to have the correct players in the correct positions. You need to know how to do the man mark. You and you should change your formation every match because you can confuse your opponent. For example, let's review. I'm going to review, yes, and I can see that my opponent, for example, attack the same. That's not correct, but because it's a friendly. But in other matches, for example, if I play against an opponent in a tournament match, uh, I have to watch the tournament matches of my opponent. Okay, if I play against an opponent in my league, I have to see the league matches of my opponent, because this is different, because in tournaments you can play uh, you can use other formations and your players will not get injured, and and the training it doesn't care. So for example, I look in this match, I can see he uses this formation, and always the same formation. He doesn't change anything. So this is very easy, and I have to match midfield. So and my opponent doesn't attack to match for my defense. So for example, I have to be offensive because he doesn't play counter attack. I can see he doesn't play counter attack, and I found it's not counter attack. It's playing normal. It's playing normal defensive formations, but playing normal. Okay. So he probably will play 3-5-2 formation, playing normal, and my attack is good but not good enough. So I need to attack more. For example, I don't need midfield because I have to match. I don't need defense because I have to match. But my attack is not enough. So go to look the way to attack more, and I can use my players. This can be offensive, these two offensive, and 3-5-2 is good, but I can be more offensive. So I need 3 forwards. For example, I will call this one and I need a set piecer taker, and this is what I use. So this is okay. This player is in low form, just 5, so get out of my life. And this is 6, and this is okay. So looking my players, I know that this is the best attack I can reach. So this have to be offensive, and that's all. So go to look, and we can see that I have worst defense, but the attacks of my opponents are not good enough. I continue winning the midfield, and my attacks are very good in this moment. So I have to review who is going to be the captain, and have to review who is going to be the set piecer, and here I can set the man marking. Okay. I'm going to do a little review about who can be marked, and it is this much.
And you have the formation experience for 2-5-3?
Yes.
You do, okay.
Yes, but just 9.
Okay.
But 8 is enough. And I hope that my opponents don't watch this stream, please. Yes, I have these formations, but in the last season, I just had 2-5-3 and 3-5-2 and 4-4-2. So it was a very bad performance in my matches, but I had to train. So I need just finish my training in 3 weeks. I'm training winger, and when I will do, I going to turn to passing, and in passing I can use every formation I want. So opponents, prepare yourself. Okay, and send. Never forget to send your formation. And if you're a person that don't have enough time to do your formation, the best thing you can do is to save as a default lineup. For example, for standard, for tournament matches, for friendly matches, for cup matches, and that's a way that you don't lose by walkover and don't lose training, because sometimes we go to vacations, and this is very normal for many managers that they forget to set their lineups, because in vacations we don't know what day is, because we don't care anything. So that's very important. Good. I'm going to look my opponent players to see what's the best player to make making man marking. So I went to his players. You have to his players, and I always order by total skill index. So, for example, this player is winger. Not, I don't want that. This player is central defender. I don't care. And this is inner midfielder. So I have to see his wage, because that's a way to know how good is that player. For example, by this wage, I can think he is world-class playmaking. So certain level is very low for my player, because he is 16 at defense, and he's powerful. So if I do making mark to that player, I can low his midfield very good. And he has not speciality. This is not very good, but not bad either. And I feel bad if I do making mark. But yes. So this will be the chosen player, Saúl Ballesteros. So off. Saúl Ballesteros by my player Piotr Gladyczek from Poland. Okay. Don't forget to send orders. Well, that was the basic, but really you have to learn to set orders, and this is much hardest that you can learn. Actually, I just have managed to learn how to use it when I was a national team coach, because in my team I don't have too much players, so I haven't the opportunity to try it. Okay, but you have many orders. For example, behavior change. You have to put a player here, and you have to select the conditions. For example, this player is playing towards wings. So if I'm winning, I can decide he plays towards middle. Okay, but just I am in the lead by Martin 1 goal. Okay, and that's a little example. But the most hardest to learn is when you want to keep your tactic working. If a player have a red card, for example, you have to think in 3 players. In this match, I'm using 2-5-3 formation. Okay, so what I want to do is to attack. What needs to attack? Midfield and attack. Okay, defending is not very important. So, for example, if I have a players that could have a red card in this match, I have to think who can be. For example, this is calm and honest. This is not work. This one, my favorite player, Juan Miguel Pelao Añasco. Sadly, I can't call to national team still, but very soon will be. I hope. He's temperamental and dishonest, so it's a very bad combination. Okay, he could get a red card. So if I want to attack, I need to have 5 players in the middle and 3 attacking. So I have to do a substitution and say if my player get a red card, if my winger, yes, red carded. So I have to choose that, and I have to say who is going to go out if my winger got a red card. So in this case, I can't be without a set piecer player, so I will choose this one. So I take and put here, and the player who is going to be on have to take this position, and the player who is going to get on, for example, will be this one. And I have to put here. So any standing, this is not important for this example. Any minutes, and what is going to happen. For example, if this player got out by red card, this one is going to get in the match, and this is going to be out. And this is going to take the position of this one.
Yeah.
So this is not easy to understand because you have to think in 3 players. But this is very important, and you have to do it, but not if you have just 5 orders. This is very important to national teams and when you are playing Hattrick Master and the final of your national cup. Okay, but if you know if you learn all of this, probably you will get in the top of your country. And always set the penalty takers. For the match, the most important for the goalkeepers, for the set pieces, is set pieces. Okay. But in the penalty shot, and when you have a penalty taker, the most important is a combination between experience, between scoring, and between set pieces. So it's not easy to choose the players, but there's a I don't know how to say it. There is a way to do it. And I don't have in this moment, and I don't want to show it because it's just invented, not the real one. Okay, it's just a reference that I use. But for example, I going to choose by experience in this case, and this player has magical experience, so it's very good, but he has just 7 of scoring and 7 of set pieces. Is very low. So looking for other, and this one is technical. He has a bonus, but it's not good enough. So this is very good at set pieces taker, but he doesn't have scoring, and his experience is not very good. And this doesn't have set pieces, so it's not easy to choose. But in this case, for example, I try to use this in the first place, or second, maybe this in the first place, my favorite player. And most important for me is experience, then scoring, and later set pieces. But this is for me, okay? And that's one example. And I think this is all for today. I'm so sorry for all time long, but I love to explain this. There are many details, and I really like to practice lineup planning matches. When I plan a match, it take me like 2 hours, or maybe 3 hours, or maybe 4 hours for every match if I really want to win. So yeah. I started on Monday, and I finished 10 minutes before the match.
That's pretty cool. It could be fun to like. I think it's a lot of fun to sit and watch these kind of live decisions. I think it's quite good way to learn. Maybe this was on the long, like a little long, but I think it's good as an introduction. But maybe we could try like to come back to that, to have like shorter coaching of like users could come to get feedback, like how do I set up my team for this cup match or something, and then get some help from you and then we could take it on the stream to see what to consider. I think that could be interesting. But thanks a lot. I think we have to finish for tonight. But it was really nice to talk to you guys. And we're gonna do another stream this week. We haven't talked about when yet, so I guess we will just come back with information on the site and on Twitch itself when we decide. Do you have anything to say, Antonio?
Yes, thank you to everyone for watching us. This was a different streaming. I hope you have liked it. We always try to improve the streamings. We really like what we do. We hope you have enjoyed it. And we will be announcement when it's going to be the next stream.
Yep. Okay, great. So have a nice end to the weekend, everyone, and see you tomorrow or see you later in the week.
Have a good week.
Ciao.
Ciao.